I think this is one of the most important discussion that we could have today on the eve of the new year, which is coming in after some minutes or some hours. So we have today Pankaj Chaube. Uh, there is no need of introduction. Who is one of the important guests that we ever had, and very approachable. Or at any point of time, call Pankaj and gets ready for the show. So thank you Pankaj for joining us today. So आज का जो हमारा शो है, it's not about any topic that we are going to discuss, but it is in the light of what happened in the last year 2020 and what going to happen in 2020. So obviously we are not forecasting. हम लोग ज्योतिषी तो है नहीं कि हम forecast करें क्या होने वाला है, but the challenges we could see ahead in year 2020 2021 is very important to discuss in the light of ongoing coronavirus crisis. So Pankaj ji, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anuji, and my warm wishes to every citizen of this country, and especially I know how hard fought they did for in 2020 because of so many pandemics, cyclones, and other bad stuff that hit 2020. And I mean 2020 known for all the bad reasons, not for the good reasons, right?
Right.
So seeing all that, probably I can certainly say that in that case, hopefully you should be really expecting something bright, right, in the new 2021.
Correct.
Having said that, and passing my congratulation notes and wishing on the high note, right? I'm a man from the school of optimism, so certainly I will expect that everything is going to be good in next 2021. But the
Absolutely.
one thing that probably I am really hopeful that the vaccines progress, right? The vaccines progress, I have seen the Pfizer and their progress report is really lucrative.
Hmm.
It's really sending a positive signal across, right? That at least
Hmm.
UK and US and even India is expected to approve that in coming weeks, right? So at least that is a positive note, right? We can see that. Other than that, right? I guess. I guess from the economy front, from the other front, certainly they are going to be good thing. But I am really hopeful for the vaccine first because that's the real roadblocker for all of us. And if that comes through, then probably our life
Hmm.
is. I'm not sure that I can't say that our life can come back to normal as it was like a year ago, but at least
Hmm.
we can be on the right track.
Okay, so what are the challenges and what are the bad thing that has happened in last year? I mean, in current year, still it is in current year. अब अभी भी हम लोग 2020 में ही है. लेकिन जो most prominent incidents हैं या जो most prominent segments of the whole 2020, what are all those according to you, Pankaj ji?
So the one challenge that certainly I can see that I mean the entire world that came
Hmm.
to such a deadlock situation, and probably certainly we have never seen our generation. But at least I can say that
Hmm.
so far the history that I have studied, I have not seen that even during the World War such kind of deadlock situation never happened across the world, right? At least some countries were fighting, but there was just some kind of communication, the mobility, the people are moving across here and there. So and that kind of pessimism is not that is not spread out, right? So I think
Hmm.
in the generations to come, or probably that have even in past, this is really
Hmm.
unprecedented situation that we have seen, right? It's the first time that for me myself, right, I would say that I'm working from home for around a year, and probably I'm expecting that it can go longer even then, right?
Hmm.
So that's one
Correct.
challenge. Having said that, on the top of that, right, so corona did not only brought the health issues, the pandemic and all that, it also crippled our
Hmm.
economy, right? It also
Hmm.
crippled our economy. It the people probably who could have enjoyed their life, right? I mean,
Hmm.
we have seen that millions and millions death that we have seen across the world. I don't have that figures ready right now that how many millions, but I
Hmm.
would say that those deaths are, I mean, probably we could have saved that. And because of some because of some unplanned stuff, right? When we allowed people to move across countries,
mm,
and WHO did not play a right role in terms of like highlighting those pandemic in early stage so that all the country can stop it. So
mm,
certainly that was not a right thing. And organization at that large scale, I'm not a right one just to put a blame on a single organization like WHO and so, but
mm,
certainly countries could have played more positive role in terms of in controlling this pandemic, right? So that's one point from the pandemic point of view. From the
mm,
economy and job loss, that was another bad thing that happened, right? From the health
mm,
crisis, that also given a good opportunity for all of us to introspect that to what extent we as
mm,
a citizen, we as a state, we as a country,
mm,
how well
mm,
we are prepared to respond to such pandemic. For example, health crisis, we have seen like how Delhi is the capital of India, right?
mm,
The kind of bad situation that got worsened from the health point of view, that should not
mm,
have been that, right? So that give us a time to reflect upon that, hey, from the health point of view, how well we are equipped in terms of equipments, in terms of staffs, in terms of all, right? The third bad thing that probably I can say, and it's all about the how as a citizen, as a group of people, we are really insensitive, right? We have seen
mm,
how the corona warriors were fighting and the people were chasing them, like in Madhya Pradesh, in some parts of Uttar Pradesh. We have seen that,
mm,
right? Those health workers were really chasing, and they were moving ahead. There are certain group of people, they're not responding them positively in terms of like helping them. So that
mm.
kind of insensitiveness we've seen, right? That should not have been there, at least in India, but that happened, right? So that was another bad thing. From education point of view, I would say that many people, right, probably they could not pursue their education, is right from the top of their university degree to as low
Mm,
as I would say their kids, right? They could not go to their school and all, they could not enjoy that. So probably that I would say that's a lost opportunity to all of us, right? We have seen some big dignitaries that who passed away during the 2020, right? Like the death of Sushant Singh Rajput, right? I am no one to say whether that was a suicide or that was a murder, but certainly that was really hyped, and there was some political involvement. That was certainly not a right thing to happen, but that did happen, right? So yeah, from all the front, from politics, from dignitaries' death, I would say Ahmad Patel. He was a really very well-renowned personality, and Amar Singh, right? We have seen that Arun Jaitley, we have seen Rishi Kapoor from the film industry. So we have seen so
mm.
many dignitaries passing away. So that was right. No one can control that, but certainly we can send our a word of condolence to them and to their bereaved family. So yeah, that's all from the some light on 2020, that how it happened. Yeah,
Okay, so
Anuj?
I think in the backdrop of all of the point that you raised, we are forgetting, I think, one of the most important incident which has been started in the starting of the year, which was which was Delhi riot, and it was anti-Hindu riot because this was something which has happened on the on something that is that kind of no, imagination, संभावना. जैसे सीएए के ऊपर जब लोग प्रोटेस्ट करने लगे, एक संभावना हुआ कि नहीं सबकी आज़ादी सबकी नागरिकता छीन ली जाएगी. इट हैज हैपेंड ऑन दी संभावनाओं के ऊपर, right? So I think that we should also talk on that issue, how it has destroyed the image of India on the global forum, global community, which have mostly involved in Bradley human rights violation, and they started lecture after that incident. So what do you say about it? What is your take on it?
Well, Anuji, you rightly pointed that's one of the pertinent topic. Probably we should have spoken earlier even on the daily riots, right? And I guess it's too late to speak on that, but I can certainly say that it all happened because of the fecund imagination. The imagination was not well proportionate. That was not bearing an ounce of truth even on that, right? Because our government people, our everyone that they advised them, they suggested, they put facts across table that hey, it's not going to snatch the citizenship of anyone, right? Even barring any citizen, but that did not happen. So I would say that is more on the political side, right? So protest, having a protest, since it's your fundamental right, it's all right. I mean, since I would say if government, it was a duty of government to keep them in confidence while passing a law that hey, this is not something that's against you. Having said that, let's take an example that probably 10 at let's give a 10% negative marks to our government, that probably they could not take them into confidence, right? But the way, because of that, the Delhi riots happened, that was certainly unpardonable, right? And probably all the people, including Tahir Hussain and everyone, I would say, both from left versus right, from this community to that community, from this religion to that religion, anyone who is part of that, they should be brought back to justice. But
Mm.
but seeing that incident happening just on the eve of when president of US is traveling to India, certainly that was not a political. That was an attempt of treason. I would say that was against a nationalism, right? No nation should accept that when some dignitaries is coming to India, and the kind of things you guys are planning to do, that certainly that is a planned event, right? So I would say it's an act of treason. That's what I can define that, Anuji, right? We have spoken so many times, so many scholars have spoken, we have seen so many articles that's coming out, we have seen the Delhi police and their investigation. Everyone can doubt on that, someone can accept that, that's a different thing. But I mean, going ahead with a planned activity like Delhi riots on the just one day before when your US president is traveling to India, I think that's really an act of treason. That's what I can say for now.
So, okay, so another incident, if we can correlate to that particular incident which has already happened in the starting of the year, which is so-called farmer protest. How do you see it? Whether it is
Yeah.
farmer protest or leftist made another attempt to just malign the country once again, because now the next year is coming, and on the occasion of 26th of January, the guest will be the Mr. Cameron, right? No, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of UK. सो क्या ये किसान आंदोलन है या कुछ और है? आप कैसे देखते हैं इसको?
Well, Anuj, I would like to go back to one show that I watched it, I guess, a day before yesterday, or like 2 days, 2 or 3 days back. That is on India TV. I saw Nobel laureate,
Hmm.
right, versus Arvind Panagaria, and the
Okay.
show was hosted by uh, India
Rahul
TV
Kanwal.
chief Rahul Kanwal, right? And
Yeah.
I watched each and everything, but I'm just trying to give that anecdotes to echo my thoughts that what Arvind Panagaria said that, right, and
Hmm.
what he said, I'm just quoting that.
Hmm.
When our Avijit, Nobel laureate of last year, he said
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
timing was not right. Arvind Panagaria
What
said,
was
"Hey,
not
if the
right?
timing was not right, this bill was passed."
Okay.
You said
Yeah. Yeah. Go
Anuj
ahead.
something.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I was saying that he said that the bill was passed probably in the summer, right? And there was certain other bills that was also passed, right? Why no protest happened at that point of time? So
Hmm.
certainly, the premise that the people are talking that it's a bad timing, that this kind of bill should not have been brought. Certainly, it's not substantiated with any facts that can be demolished right there. On the second point, when someone say that hey, it's against farmers because MSP is going away, APMC is going away, our government has made it clear, and we have seen the draft that minimum support price is going to stay right here, and we have seen a substantial increase even during the Kharif fasal, right? So no one can say that MSP is going away. We have seen the APMC, because the APMC's market is functioning once the bill was
Mm,
passed, and we have seen there was no changes, right? The status quo remains same. The only change that has happened, that farmers are getting more market access, right? So from the facts point of view, that is not substantiated anywhere, but I can certainly say, and what why I quote the example of Avijit, right, and Arvind Panagaria, just because that I can correlate that how this debate, how this farmer protest has veered from the right protest to the political protest, right? And so long it going to be a political protest, even the genuine farmers, right, would not be in position to vent their thoughts, vent their emotions, and vent their feelings, that what they are feeling in that. So
mm,
I can certainly say it's a political fight. There is nothing wrong with the farmers' bill. But even let's say that I am as a farmer and I have some issues and challenges with that, certainly I'm not gonna block the road, because we as a citizen, we have a fundamental rights to protest. We don't have that fundamental right to I mean protest in such a fashion that that's creating a disturbance to other citizens, and we're encroaching
mm,
on their personal rights. So I would say this farmer protest has nothing to do with the facts. It's only political movement, and political
mm.
movement should be crushed with hard handed. That's what my take. And so long we allow to happen, I would say that that's not going to happen, and that's not going to give anything good for India and for any citizen, right? Why the only farmer protests are happening in Punjab and Haryana? Why not across India? Our union government is there to amend a law. Our Indian union government is there to amend a law that is going to impact the length and breadth of India. Our India is spread out in 32 lakh square kilometer. It's not limited to Punjab and Haryana only, right? And if certain section of people, I would say farmers, let them political people also, if they have a tendency to keep our union government on ransom because of this ill-provoked thoughts, right, they should be crushed with the hard hands. That's what I can say. You have government is offering a cushion hand, you can speak to them. I have seen the last meeting that happened in Vigan Bhavan day before yesterday. I would
Mm.
say government is doing well in terms of to bring them on the table on the common ground, but it does not mean that you will continue to block the road just like a shine bar. That's not a protest, right? Then that's going to be a different thing. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the another point which is in fact very prominent, and I think lot of discussion are required, and I think the common people should also discuss this matter whether it is wrong or right. And I think the common farmers who are really farmers are happy with the bills. Another incident which I would like to recall, which is the matter of concern, and I think the matter of great concern even for the people, that the conversion. So considering the conversion, I mean the illegal conversion across the country, the two state government, it is initially Uttar Pradesh Yogi Adityanath government, and now the Madhya Pradesh government. Both of them have brought a bill on love jihad. So, what is your take on it? Whether what is the implications? Because day before yesterday, a letter come out, and the letter was written by the prominent IS officer, the juries, the law officers, and a lot of. So, I think over 100 people have written to Yogi Adityanath, Chief Minister of UP, that there is a hatred in UP. गंगा यमुना की तहजीब के ऊपर धक्का। आप कैसे देखते हैं इसको? ये जो एक फेक नैरेटिव चला आ रहा है गंगा जमुना की तहजीब, अगर आप उसी गंगा जमुना की तहजीब की बात करें, सो द सेम लैंड व्हिच स्टार्टेड द डिवीजन ऑफ इंडिया इन 1947 एंड इवन बिफोर, उत्तर प्रदेश में ही तो गंगा जमुना तहजीब के ऊपर उसी जमीन के ऊपर भारत विभाजन का एक पृष्ठभूमि तैयार किया गया था। सो आप कैसे देखते हैं? व्हाट इज इट? वेदर इट इज रॉन्ग, इट इज राइट, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट स्टोरी, बट एज ए कॉमन सिटीजन, हाउ डू यू फील?
Anuji, I can say it's a disturbing, right? If you ask me as a common citizen, it's a disturbing. The trend is disturbing. The thought process is not going to bring homogeneity across society. It's not this kind of thought process is not going to bring people on the common ground.
Hmm.
uh, I mean, that will continue to widen the differences that's already existing between two communities, right? So that's one point. If I talk about the love jihad and conversion, so I would say that probably our government has done and acted really late. Why? I can give you my perspective of what I'm trying to say. I've seen the conversion in Ranchi. I have seen the conversion where in Mayust area. I have seen the conversion how one religion from Christianity, right, and from the Christian religion, they have really done a forceful conversion across India, and they have opened missionaries in such a great extent, right?
Hmm.
I would say it's not about the Muslim versus Hindu, it's not about Christian versus Hindu or Christian versus Muslim, it's all about forceful conversion. And this is happening since independence. My only concern was that why not even a single government could have thought about it just 50 years ago? This India is not for Hindu, certainly it's not for Muslim either, not for Christian either. It's for everyone who I mean, prefer to stay in India happily. And certainly, this India is known as Hindustan, right? The Hindustan is not about Hindu or Muslim, but this
Hmm.
Hindustan is all the people probably who were living in Hindu Ghati Savyata like millions of centuries ago, right? That consists of every one of us. It's a Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, but it does not give a warranty to everyone to do a forceful conversion. Why not it's a Muslim, why not it's a Christian?
Hmm.
They should be treated the way it should be, right? I can't go to Saudi Arabia and do a forceful conversion. I can't go to US even and do forceful conversion. It's not allowed. How come allowed in India even for Hindu versus Muslim, or let's say for Hindu versus Christian or Christian versus Muslim? It shouldn't be allowed. That's a point number one. Seeing the recent development that happened in Uttar Pradesh, like Yogi ji brought this bill, I don't know to what extent that's going to help them in terms of stop the forceful conversion, because we have seen the recent verdicts by, I mean, Supreme Court as well as the different state high courts, that we have seen that if the adults are more than 18, they have right to pursue. I mean, because of marriage, they have right to pursue their religion, right? But the only question that is with the government with this bill, that let's say if anyone who comes back to government and say that, hey, I have been they have really forced me to convert to different religion even after having going through marriage, right? That's the only scope that's given. So it's not about law, it's not about through forceful law that one can stop that, but it's a kind of awareness that should have been brought within society, right, since
Hmm.
1950, that hey, this kind of things is not allowed, that this is really breeding hate among people, and this should really be stopped. I mean, I am from Jharkhand. I have seen how the conversion has happened in Ranchi, right? I have seen that. So at least I can speak on that. Why it's really big concern in UP, because UP, I would say that almost 20% or 21% of population are Muslims, right? And it's one of the biggest state that has a highest amount of Muslim population, even more than Jammu and Kashmir. So I would say
Correct.
that, so in that case, UP is always going to be politically active and sensitive state when it comes to Hindu versus Muslim. Yogi ji has done a fantastic job in terms of controlling the law and order and
Hmm.
bringing the culprits on table, and I mean to the rule of law. When it comes to this kind of things, I would say certainly if the law has been tested with the process of constitutional amendments, I would say certainly there is no flaw into that. Its only concern is to what extent that's practically feasible, right? Because since we are more than 18, we're allowed to pursue religion whatever that pleases us.
That's fine. That's okay if you want to have your religion change. It's okay. But somebody is trying to force you to get your religion changed after marriage. That's wrong. And I think Yogi ji has given one interview to one of the leading news television channel, and the person asked that why the parents are coming into, and then Mr. Yogi said that why not? The parents must teach their children that what is wrong, what is right, and why there is a need of change of religion after marriage. So that's the major concern. Anyway, that's the point that we can discuss further also, and let's hope for the best, and the outcome should come out as per the nature of the society and the law and justice. So let's come to the next point: legal reform. India would certainly lead no judicial reform, because for last many years or many decades, even the judicial reforms has not happened, and it is now time to the government to come heavily on the judicial reform, because the judges in the High Court and in the Supreme Court and even in District Court, uh, they are not being taken to the task. I think you must have seen one of the news which is coming from Bihar, that some district judges they went to Nepal, and they were they were involved in some sex racket. So I think judiciary should also look in themselves, and the government should bring a better reform to them. How do you see?
Well, Anuj, when it comes to reforms, so prior to going directly jumping to Justice Department, right? I would say the first reform that's really needed in a policy reform. I'm sure the government of India is doing right thing, right? When it comes to labor reform, we have seen a significant thing, a significant change to the labor code that happened in recent time. Unsurprisingly, I would say that there was no protest against that. I don't know why. I don't know why. It should have been because the labor law reform that happened in the same parliament session when the farmers bill happened, because the farmers bill was done through some ordinance promulgation, right? And after that, that came to parliament session, and within parliament session these three bills along with labor law reforms were done, but the no protest happened into that. So labor reforms, why I brought the labor reforms right during our discussion, because the labor reforms is something probably we could have missed to highlight that it's one of the biggest highlights for 2020, that the government of India is really resolutely committed for the labors and they did the right thing. When it comes to Justice Department, Anuji, I would say Justice Department has so many bright things, but at the same time, right, there's certain bad elements also, right? Sex rackets is always bad. Why not it's a with the justice? Why not it's a police? Why not it's a common citizen, right? Wherever the people are involved in such kind of that kind of act, irrespective of your age, irrespective of your position you are holding, I would say that should not be welcomed, right? That should not be welcomed. But when it comes to judicial reforms, I would like to highlight one of the more important thing that I have recently I am seeing right through the tussle between executives and judiciary that's happening in Andhra Pradesh. Have you seen that? Like the Jagan
Yeah.
Mohan Reddy versus the High Court judge. I mean, at the one point of time, there is a people elected leader who is saying that I'm not fine with this judge. The judge
Mm.
is saying that this guy is not right to speak against him. I don't know who to believe. I don't know who to go. I mean, at one point of time, millions of people have elected one leader, right, as their leader, and their leader is saying that, hey, this judge, or I would say judge is never important. It's all about the constitutional post which is important, right?
Mm.
And that person is saying that, hey, this person does not deserve to be on this post. And if that kind of tussle starts going between judiciary versus executive, I would say certainly it's brewing a very negative perception, I mean, among common citizen. That's one point. The second point, that it's a fantasy for every citizen to speak against Supreme Court judge or their verdicts, as you have seen in the Prashant Bhushan case, right? Prashant Bhushan is really, I don't know, I can only say about him, he's really a good erudite man, but I can only see that certainly in recent time he has gone mad. The way he speaks, the way whatever he does, right? That's not a welcoming thoughts for any judiciary process.
Mm.
On the other side, probably I would like to speak on the judiciary process about the lower courts, right? Except the pendency of the cases, because the government is already looking into that. I'm not going to speak on that, but
Mm.
I can certainly say that the government has to do very concrete action, so that the people who are really connected to the, I mean, who are from, who can't approach high courts, who can't approach supreme courts, who are really hoping to get a better verdict, right? At least a better verdict. When I say better verdict, it's not about like in favor or against favor. It's more about what is right versus what is not right. We can see certainly that kind of corruption is still being in high practices among the lower courts, right? And that's really lowering the confidence of common citizen, and who are really relying upon that. So police reforms, judicial reforms, they should go hand in hand, and that's where the common citizen will be on the verge to get the right justice, right? And I would say the Modi government is doing the right thing, but on the police reforms, on the judicial reforms, we should be expecting some positive moves maybe in 2021. And I, as a common citizen, I am really hopeful for that. Yeah.
Okay, that's the great point that you bring in a table. But I would say that the judiciary should be more reformed than the police reform. The reason, I think you must have seen the latest development which is happening across the country, and especially in Maharashtra. The Supreme Court has categorically said in Arnab Goswami case that the High Court has not been able to deliver justice. High Court should have looked into the matter more seriously, but the judges did not do it. So I think I would be little disagree with you on this point, and with due respect to all the milords in the country, although they are not said to be, because these milords also have some agenda and they work upon it, right? Starting from the Delhi High Court judges, one of the judges who was transferred to some other high court, and then their ecosystem started barking that he was done like this. But the history, when you go into, you would find that the judge's wife was a Naxali, right? And the same judge who woke up and sit for a Naxalist around 6 o'clock early in the morning. So why not they should be questioned? I think they should be questioned, and I would say that the people of India must come forward and they should also speak against the judges, because these judges are being paid on the taxes of the common people. जो लोग जो है ना, जो टैक्स पे करते हैं, उनके टैक्सेस पे इनको सैलरी मिलती है, एंड नाउ दे आर सपोर्टिंग नक्सलिस्ट, द अर्बन नक्सल, द जिहादिस्ट, द कम्युनिस्ट, बट दे डोंट केयर अबाउट द पीपल. आप देखिए ना, प्रशांत भूषण को 1 रुपए का एक फाइन हुआ. क्या सुप्रीम कोर्ट के अंदर इस तरह की सुविधाएं मौजूद हैं एक आम इंसान के लिए, हमारे और आपके लिए? तो क्यों नहीं हमें क्वेश्चन करना चाहिए? हमें क्वेश्चन करना चाहिए. जब तक हम क्वेश्चन नहीं करेंगे, ये मिलॉर्ड्स नहीं मानेंगे. और हिंदुस्तान का जो, भारत की जो संविधान है, वो हम भारत के लोग से शुरुआत होता है, ना कि मिलॉर्ड से शुरुआत होता है. So I am little disturbed by looking at the situation of the judiciary in the country, and I always, see my experience are very bitter in terms of the judiciary in the country.
Well, Anush, I certainly echo your thoughts on a judiciary process, that the kind of bipartisan process they're taking in terms of this side versus that side. Why not? That's Maoist versus non-Maoist. That's center versus right center versus left center. I would say that kind of bipartisan, that kind of centricism process, and the thought process, the kind of thought process that's being inculcated among themselves, that should be crushed at the beginning. That's my key intake. On the reform process, I don't know which reform is on higher priority, which reform is on low priority. That's the government to take a call on that. But certainly, I can say judicial review process. I would say judicial reforms should really be taken with the urgent priority, not because the judicial system is corrupt, but because the process that's being followed to select judges, right? Because if we are not in position to dissect that who is right for what post, if our scrutiny process is not that robust, it means there is a problem with the entire system. Because let's say what I'm trying to say, that I can give a very right example, right? When you travel to US nowadays, I have seen that, and I have heard that your even social accounts are being scrutinized. The
Of
moment you
course.
start doing any, yeah, right, your social accounts are being scrutinized, and after that you are getting a visa for that. And the moment they identify that you are really either pro-democrat or against Republicans and vice versa, you will be on the side of not getting the visa if you are from outside of US. So
Okay.
if US, or if why I'm trying to highlight that process, that
Mm,
even in India, why selecting judges, why selecting, let's say, IAS, IPS, or any level, and any that level of recruitment, right? That holds a high level of constitutional post. Even that's for CVC. Even that's for our chief accountants, right? Who is doing accounting and auditing for the entire, I mean, public sectors units. I would say their social history, their past history, their social accounts, their social milieu, their social engineering process should really be scrutinized and reviewed. Why I'm saying that? Because I'm just looking, Anuji, this entire process from the 20,000 feet high, and when I see from that height, I can only see that all the people are from the same society. We are
mm,
breeding that, right? So it's a duty of a government to scrutinize that. If someone is at the lower court and we're elevating that person to the higher court, let's say, or the session court, or from the higher court to Supreme Court, right?
mm,
So at least I know that there's a process that government of India sends recommendations that
mm,
has, but they don't have a veto power to. I mean, they don't have a veto power to say anything against the Supreme Court judge's opinion, but at least they can say their opinion. They can pass on their opinion, which is not binding.
mm,
So government and Supreme Court has not that level of system to investigate. So it's up to Supreme Court process to understand that, hey, if I don't have that level of capacity to investigate, to understand their background, if
mm,
government of India is saying something, let's look into that. That's the point number one. Point number two, government of India should really incorporate a process where the review system, to have a background check. Just like if I am hired by any company, why not? Let's say, take example of JP Morgan. Let's take
mm,
example of any other bank. At least they do that level of background verification. But that verification process only ends all about your academia as well as your past experience. That does not talk about characters. When it's a character, when it's also about the personality traits. And that's where the government of India should really look into that. Why not only for Supreme Court judges? I would say not only for judges, all, even for the all such level of constitutional post, even for the chief staff of the army. I mean, we have seen how Casey, I mean, I don't know who was that guy, but that person was really holding a high post in Air
mm,
Force like some years back, and I saw his surname is Tyagi, and I have seen that how CBC has, right, found some, filed a cheating case against that person. He was holding such a high personality post, right? So
mm,
I can certainly say that a scrutiny process is not right. Why not for judiciary, even for the other post, even in the defense sector, right? We have seen certain section of people, even the defense, that how they are being honey trapped. So at least that kind of process should be really look into that, at least from the coaching perspective, mentoring perspective, to check your character, to check your personality, to check your mindset. And that's where the psychological test works. They should really be going through the psychological test. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, that's right. And I think we have been able to discuss a lot of things, and I think that's really concerning the people lives and the country interest as well. Uh, so these are the basic thing. We have a lot of things to discuss, but due to constrained timeline and guest availability, we cannot have much and more interaction on. But we'll try to make it happen in year to come, and we'll continue to discuss. We'll continue to bring more pointer, more subjects discussion, and uh, regardless of their impact, whether it is happening on you or the larger society, but ultimately with the hope that something could happen for across the spectrum. So, Pankaj, thank you so much for joining us. And at the end, would like to wish all the viewers, all the countrymen, all the regional men and women to very, very happy New Year 2020, which is coming in just few minutes or few hours. So thank you so much once again, Pankaj. I will keep in touch.
Thank you,
We'll
Anuj. Thank
continue
you.
to discuss.
I also pass my same wish notes to every viewers, whosoever is watching from India or from outside of India. I wish to every citizen of country to have a very fruitful and hopeful New Year. I would say because the hope is the only thing that keeps us united. Should really be hopeful that the next year is going to be good and probably we'll be leaving aside all the bad stuff that happened